Okay, so in this Week 14 matchup in the NFL, we have two of the best teams in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, going on the road to face the New Orleans Saints. Now, both of these teams have a 10-2 record, so whoever wins this game puts themselves in a better position to try to lock up home field advantage when the playoffs begins. Now, last week the San Francisco 49ers lost a very close game to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the San Francisco 49ers in that game, they had a chance to win that game. But at the end of the day, the Baltimore Ravens still came up on top. But it was still a very good performance for the 49ers. I was still very impressed. Now, the New Orleans Saints, on the other hand, they played the Atlanta Falcons on Thanksgiving in a very wild game. I mean, it was onside kicks being recovered and things like that. It was just a very wild and weird game. It was very weird to me because the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, this team was fighting to the end. When you thought the Saints had the game wrapped up, Atlanta was recovering onside kicks and things like that. So the New Orleans Saints were in a very wild Thanksgiving matchup, and it was fairly entertaining. So going into this game, I've been keeping my eyes on this game for the last couple of weeks. And the reason why I've been very intrigued in this game is because of the 49ers defense versus the New Orleans Saints offense. Now, the reason why the Saints offense versus the 49ers defense is so intriguing to me is because the New Orleans Saints, the biggest knock on the New Orleans Saints offense since last season has been they don't take a lot of shots downfield. They throw a lot of short passes, they take what the defense gives you, and they don't really push the ball downfield a lot. And when you look at some of the best teams in the NFL, like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers, you look at the Baltimore Ravens, you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they all are explosive. They all have explosive big plays. And when you look at the New Orleans Saints, you don't really get a lot of big explosive plays, especially in the passing game. When it comes to yards per completion, the New Orleans Saints are pretty much in the middle of the pack. They don't really have a lot of big explosive plays in the passing game. So when we look at the New Orleans Saints offense, which isn't really that explosive, but they take what the defense gives them. We're looking at San Francisco 49ers defense. That is the second best defense in the NFL behind the New England Patriots. Considering on who you ask, some people will say the 49ers defense is the best defense in the NFL. But regardless of the fact is, this 49ers defense is very good in forcing turnovers and getting pressure on the quarterback. So the thing is, this New Orleans Saints, although they don't have a lot of big plays in the passing game, Drew Brees gets the ball out very quick. So when you're looking at this New Orleans Saints offense and you look at the 49ers defense, this is a defense that loves to get after the quarterback. I want to see if this 49ers defense is going to be able to get some pressure on Drew Brees, considering the fact that the New Orleans Saints get the ball out insanely quick. When you face the New Orleans Saints, you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to get pressure on Drew Brees because they get the ball out incredibly quick. Now, although this offense isn't really explosive in the passing game, looking at the stats, they get the ball out very fast and they run a very methodical offense. It's not impressive, but it gets the job done. Now, another big matchup is these New Orleans Saints halfbacks. You got Alvin Kamara and you got Latavius Murray versus this 49ers defense. Now, the 49ers, when it comes to stopping the run, they're not that good when it comes to stopping the run like they are stopping the pass, because this is a 49ers defense that's in the bottom half of the NFL and stopping the run. Now, Baltimore was able to have success running the football. And when we look at the New Orleans Saints and this offensive line, and you look at the way Latavius Murray has been playing over the last couple of weeks and Alvin Kamara, can the San Francisco 49ers come into this game and stop the run? I think that's another interesting matchup, because if the 49ers are able to stop the run game of the New Orleans Saints and force the New Orleans Saints to go through the air, I want to see, can this 49ers defense get pressure on Drew Brees because they get the ball out insanely quick because this offense involves a lot of short passes and they don't really take a lot of shots down the field. So I want to see if this 49ers defense is going to be able to get some pressure on Drew Brees considering the fact that the way this New Orleans Saints offense is set up. And Sean Payton is going to be facing against Kyle Shanahan. So we're going to be seeing two innovative offensive minds going head-to-head. And both of these two teams are very good in the trenches. When you look at the way the 49ers and the New Orleans Saints are constructed, both have good offensive lines, both have good defensive lines. The New Orleans Saints, they have one of the best run defenses in all of the NFL. So can the 49ers have success with a four-good trio of halfbacks I've been talking about all season for the 49ers? Can they have success running the football on this New Orleans Saints front? So those are the couple of questions that makes this game very intriguing to me. Now, looking at my keys to victory, what both these teams be able to do to win this game, for the San Francisco 49ers, they have to take away the short passing game. They need to take away the short passes from the New Orleans Saints, and they need to force the New Orleans Saints to push the ball downfield. Take away the short passing game. Force New Orleans to throw the ball downfield. Force New Orleans to beat you throwing the football vertically instead of doing these short check down passes. That's what the 49ers have to be able to do. Because I noticed that about this New Orleans Saints offense, and a lot of people have pointed this out. Booker McFarland has pointed this out on Monday Night Football. A lot of people have really pointed this out in this New Orleans Saints offense. They don't push the ball downfield. So if you're the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, you got to find a way to force the New Orleans Saints to push the ball downfield. And when you force the New Orleans Saints to push the ball downfield, that's going to help that pass rush out. Because then the pass rush is going to have a little bit more longer, a lot more time to try to get pressure on Drew Brees. Because the Saints get the ball out so fast, you don't really get a lot of opportunities to get pressure on Drew Brees unless they're dropping back to try to throw the ball downfield deep, which they don't really try to do that often. So if you're the 49ers, you need to take away the short passes. You need to try to force New Orleans to throw the ball downfield to give your pass rushers a good chance and more time to get pressure on Drew Brees. Now, the next thing that has to happen is Richard Sherman has to be able to shut down Michael Thomas. Now, Michael Thomas is the New Orleans Saints leading receiver. And in my opinion, I think Michael Thomas is the best receiver in the NFL at this point. I mean, this dude is the staple of consistency. I mean, he's once again leading the NFL, receptions and receiving yards. And he's pretty much the most reliable wide receiver that the New Orleans Saints have. So it's very important that Richard Sherman shuts down Michael Thomas. Because if you shut down Michael Thomas, then Drew Brees doesn't really have a lot of reliable wide receivers who he can go to, other than Alvin Kamara, who's pretty good in the receiving game. Even though he's a halfback, he's pretty good catching the ball out the backfield. And you got Jared Cook. Now, Jared Cook is a little bit of a wild factor, a little bit of a wild card. But if Richard Sherman takes away Michael Thomas, then that's going to make things a little bit more complicated on this New Orleans Saints offense. Because Michael Thomas has pretty much been the only consistent wide receiver that the New Orleans Saints have on this team. They don't really know who their number 2 wide receiver is. And they don't really have a good number 3 option as well. So Michael Thomas is pretty much the only consistent wide receiver that the New Orleans Saints have. So Richard Sherman has to be able to shut down Michael Thomas. And if he's able to do that, this New Orleans Saints offense is going to be in a lot of trouble when it comes to the passing game, because you got Jared Cook. Jared Cook is a little bit of an X factor. The New Orleans Saints normally throw to Jared Cook when they get inside the red zone most of the time. Now, what the New Orleans Saints have to be able to do to win this game is they have to be able to stop the run. Now, the New Orleans Saints have one of the best defenses in all the NFL when it comes to stopping the run. Now, the thing when it comes to the facing the San Francisco 49ers is, it doesn't matter how good you are stopping the run. Stats don't matter, okay? A lot of teams that are top 10 in the NFL going into the game versus the 49ers against the run, most of the time the 49ers end up imposing their will on them anyway. Because they're just a very physical team up front, and they're very big. And those guys are very physical, and they're able to just impose their will on you, run the football with those 4 talented, good halfbacks that they have. So if you're the New Orleans Saints, you have to be able to stop the run. But the way you have to be able to stop the run is you have to be able to out-physical the San Francisco 49ers offensive line. This defensive line of the New Orleans Saints, they have to get physical. And they have to be able to stop this running game. Because the thing about the 49ers is, not only are they good run the football up the middle, but they also have guys like Matt Breida and Mostert who can also run the ball in between the tackles and run the ball to the outside. So if you're the New Orleans Saints, this defensive line has to win up front, and they have to be more physical than the 49ers offensive line if they want to be able to stop this running game. Because that's mostly what it comes down to. The reason why people fail to stop these rushing attacks of Baltimore and the 49ers is because they just aren't physical enough. To stop the run game of the 49ers, you have to be able to get physical up front. So if the New Orleans Saints are able to get physical up front, that's the only way they're going to be able to stop this rushing attack. There's nothing schematically that they can do to stop this rushing attack of the 49ers. Doesn't matter how many people you send in the box. Doesn't matter if you load the box up with 7, 8 guys. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's going to come to who's going to end up being more physical. So if New Orleans wants to be able to win this game, they have to be able to stop the run. And it all comes down to being more physical. And the last thing they have to be able to do is they have to be able to get Alvin Kamara the ball. Because I think Alvin Kamara, he hasn't really been getting the same amount of touches he has been like he was at the beginning of the season because of Latavius Murray. But I think the New Orleans Saints want to win this game. Alvin Kamara is going to be a big part because of his ability to run the football and also being able to catch the ball out the backfield. Because of how versatile he is and his skill set, I think he's going to be very key in the New Orleans Saints being able to beat the San Francisco 49ers if they are able to win this game. So if they want to win this game, I think Alvin Kamara needs at least 20 touches in this game. So the team that I'm going with to win this game, I'm taking the 49ers. The reason why is because I just think the 49ers are a better team than the New Orleans Saints. On the defense side of the ball, they match up very well. And the New Orleans Saints, I just don't think this wide receiving core is good enough to score a lot of points on this 49ers defense. I just think this New Orleans Saints offense is just a little bit too conservative to beat a team like the San Francisco 49ers because they can't push the ball downfield. And also, they can run the football, but I think the 49ers are going to be able to find a way to stop Latavius Murray in his rushing attack, and they're going to be able to get pressure on Drew Brees because eventually, I think they're going to be able, with Robert Saleh and this 49ers staff on the defense side of the ball, I think they're going to take away the short passing game, and they're going to force New Orleans to try to beat them throwing the football down the field deep. And if it comes down to that, I don't think the New Orleans Saints are going to be able to do it. I just don't. Now, the New Orleans Saints could easily win this game as well, but I'm going to take the 49ers because I think the 49ers are just a better team all around. And I think the 49ers are a better team up front on both sides of the football than what the New Orleans Saints are. Now, although New Orleans can stop the run, listen, the 49ers have ran the ball effectively on a lot of teams who had top 10 run defenses. So I'm not really that concerned that the New Orleans Saints defense is number 2 in the NFL, top 5 in the NFL stop the run. I don't really think that matters because a lot of teams who had top 10 run defenses against the 49ers come into the game and the fans gloat and say that we're top 10 stop the run. It doesn't matter. The 49ers are still going to impose to run the football. So I think the 49ers are going to be able to win this game. I think this game is going to be very entertaining. It's going to be very close. But I think the 49ers win this game 24-17 is my final score prediction for this game. So let me know who you guys think will win this game down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.